Why do I have to go through a mental breakdown in the first place? Does a mental breakdown serve any other purpose than making me feel terrible? Why would my brain do that to me? They say everything happens for a reason, but what in the world could going through this much mental and emotional pain be for? Could there really be an underlying purpose to a mental breakdown? Or am I just supposed to suffer from time to time for no reason? By the end of this video, you are going to fully understand the purpose of having a breakdown. So, grab yourself a cup of tea, stay tuned, and let's talk about it. Hello, Howell family. I'm your host, HC. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Tea with HC, where we talk about the issues that concern you on your journey to being true to you. In this episode, we are discussing the purpose of a mental breakdown. Going through a mental breakdown is often described as the worst feeling of our lived experience. It's a time that we feel alone and that no one can help us. It's a time that we feel lost, confused, and have no answers to any of our questions. Going through a mental breakdown often feels like the weight of the world was pressing down on our shoulders, and we slipped and fell into what feels like eternal darkness. At this time, it appears that we have ultimately failed at whatever we were trying to achieve, and at the end of the tunnel, where we currently sit in dismay, there is no light. However, that belief is actually the farthest thing from reality. Although it may be a hard truth to come to terms with, it is important to accept that this period of your life is also a part of the process to becoming the best version of you. Often, a breakdown is necessary to put things in perspective so that we can better appreciate our skills, vulnerabilities, and our limitations. If we never lose, how can we truly ever appreciate our wins? If we never fall, how can we ever know the glory of rising up? For example, let's say you're training to be a professional fighter and you want to compete on the world stage. Let's say you have been training alone and in isolation for months, and in your perspective, you're ready to compete because, according to all of the fight simulation footage that you've watched, in theory, you are the best that there has ever been. This perspective can be very problematic, especially if you intend to jump into your first qualifying match. If you never trained with others, you don't know how your body will respond to the shock of getting hit really hard. Consequently, you have no idea how much your body can endure or how your body and mind will react when the pressure is on and you are competing with world class fighters. Therefore, although it may be very painful and you may even be injured for a moment, in the long run, it would serve you exponentially to know what it means to get hit really hard or even knocked down or out. In the very same way, a breakdown positively serves your growth in the long run, more than the harm it gives you in the moment. Once you've had a breakdown, you become more self aware and cognizant of your current limits relative to your goals and understand your reality in relation to your aspirations. Although it is not advised, recommended, or encouraged that you put yourself through a mental breakdown to learn the following lessons, the following are a few things that can be gained by overcoming a mental breakdown. I'll show you just how a breakdown can encourage a better version of you by resetting your mindset, providing clarity, inciting humility, encouraging change, and by helping you appreciate yourself. Hopefully, I could enjoy my green tea at the same time. First, a breakdown resets your mindset. Although overcoming a breakdown can be a very tumultuous process, on the other side of that pain is the feeling of being born again with an improved mentality and a refined perspective of self. A breakdown can be seen as mindset training, where your idea of self gets a factory reset, and thus a new opportunity to appreciate your greatness. As an example of this transformation, let's say you're a basketball player training for the league, but you're self conscious of your abilities. Nonetheless, there's a coach that sees your potential and believes in your talent. And although you don't recognize your own greatness yet, this coach notices you and says, "Kid, you're going to be the next big star." In order to mold you into the player he knows you can become, a lot of rigorous training was needed. Training so challenging it was barely bearable, so it pushed you to the extent of your limits. Although you often felt like giving up, after all of that laborious training, just like your coach said, you became one of the greatest players of that season. Yet, this confidence, skill, and raw talent was unbeknownst to you just a few months ago. If the coach had not put you through hell, this drastic improvement would have never been fathomable. In that example, you can think of the coach as being the universe, who pushed you through hell just so you can become exactly who you are meant to become. After successfully overcoming the pain, you developed an improved perspective of self and cultivate a better gauge of your capabilities. Although it is true that the process may be rigorous and it may take some time to adapt, you must have faith that the universe has no intention to steer you in the wrong way, and that once you overcome this test, you will be better prepared to face the next challenges on your route to becoming the best version of you. Second, the process provides clarity. Always remember, your inner self, your gut, knows you and already understands much more than your mind can fathom. A breakdown is often the result of an unbalance happening internally, such as true feelings, thoughts, or perspectives that you may have been trying to avoid, suddenly beginning to affect the reality outside of you. A mental breakdown has a rather traumatic way of letting you know that things are not okay and that things need to change. Therefore, it can be seen as an extreme way of your inner self encouraging you to either change your environment, the people around you, the things that you do, or the places that you go, because for one reason or the other, you cannot bear it anymore. Although you may have not realized exactly what needed to change prior to the breakdown, once you are going through one, the things that need to be removed become much more evident, and your need to elevate from those triggering situations becomes imperative. Although the process may be difficult to undergo, to your eventual benefit, you cannot prevent a breakdown by masking these feelings and these truths forever. If you refuse to acknowledge and tend to how you truly feel and make a change, a breakdown will force the change. As said by Canadian recording artist Tory Lanez, the truth sets you free, or it sets itself free. As such, overcoming a mental breakdown tends to provide clarity, and with that much needed clarity, you can make better decisions going forward on your journey to fulfillment. Third, A mental breakdown may incite humility. A breakdown helps you appreciate that you are human too. Often, prior to a breakdown, we may feel like we could just ignore our true feelings and thoughts to the extent that we feel we are invincible and that there is no need to be in touch with our inner selves to continue succeeding. But, as said by boxing legend Iron Mike Tyson, there's only one step from the limo to the gutter. And this truth is often realized once we are suddenly faced with a mental breakdown. Because of societal pressure to overperform, it is common to lose touch with the fact that we have physical, emotional, and mental needs that are equally, if not more important than our desire for societal achievements. Once you go through a breakdown, you understand that no matter how strong you may seem, you can cry too. No matter how great you may appear to be, you can fall down too. And no matter how great things have given the impression of being, if you don't check yourself, you will wreck yourself. Breaking down can be a very humbling experience because it has the capacity to reveal to you the true essence of your humanity, the true fragile nature of what it means to be alive. This simple truth will humble you and may even reciprocally help you respect life that much more. Fourth, a breakdown encourages change. Change is often the result of successfully overcoming a mental breakdown because if you don't change what is causing or influencing the mental breakdown, it is likely to be reoccurring. Once you overcome the breakdown, you may feel on edge and even much more sensitive to things that you would have overlooked in the past. But always remember, no significant change happens overnight. For example, let's say you are learning to skate for the first time in the ice rink. Even though you have been instructed on how to skate and you've tried it one or two times and didn't fall right away, in order to be proficient at your new skill, you will have to give yourself time to adapt to what it is you have just learned. At first, you may be skeptical about your skills. You may be sensitive to how people look at you because you don't feel like you're an actual ice skater yet. You may even fall a few times because you let your focus wane. However, that does not mean that the change is not happening. That does not mean that you will not succeed. It's all part of the process. After overcoming a mental breakdown, it will be like learning to walk again. Needing time to adjust does not mean that you are regressing. Although you may feel completely different than you once did after overcoming this breakdown, keep on your course and allow the change to be. Finally, overcoming a mental breakdown helps you appreciate yourself. Once you overcome a mental breakdown, you start to realize that you too are capable of going through something tumultuous and coming out a winner. Always remember, you are not weak because you went through a mental breakdown. You are not a loser because you did not know how to appreciate yourself. You are not a fool because you did not recognize your strengths. You are not useless because you did not know what to do and how to do. And you are not a failure because you cried. Overcoming a mental breakdown will help you realize these simple truths that are often easily overlooked when the pressure of the world is weighing down on us. You are human. You are special for who you are. Live. To put it all together, we can now assess that A mental breakdown can have a significant purpose in your life by resetting your mindset, providing clarity, inciting humility, encouraging change, and helping you appreciate yourself. We can now clearly see that breaking down not only has a purpose, but can also be an important element to having a fulfilled and successful life. What do you think about mental breakdowns? I would love to read your comments as I finish this cup of tea, so please comment below, like this channel, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. That's it for today's episode of Tea with HC. Hope this helped you appreciate your breakdown from a different perspective. I'll see you here next time on Howell Consultations, the how to being true to you.